Let me do that. Here we go. Somebody's coming in. Let's start over. What's the benefits of putting your car in a trust? A trust is a legal arrangement that allows you to transfer ownership of your assets, such as your car, to a trustee. This can offer a number of advantages, including asset protection, privacy, and the ability to pass down your assets to future generations. One of the primary benefits of putting your car in a trust is asset protection. If you own a car, it is considered an asset that can be seized to pay off debts or lawsuits. By putting your car into a trust, you can protect it from creditors and ensure that it remains in your control, even in the event of financial difficulties. Let me stop right there. The best way to protect a car in a trust is to make it an irrevocable trust. If it's a standard, living trust, but it's not irrevocable, whoever's involved in that trust will have issues with the trust. Say if the trustee has financial issues, tax issues, because in some senses, the trustee is considered the legal owner of the asset. The grantor, if he's got tax issues or other lawsuits, they can penetrate that trust, depending on how it's written. But if it's an irrevocable trust considered its own entity, and none of the parties involved have any liability because that asset belongs to that trust. The trustee is just managing it. All right. So some people will say, oh, if it's irrevocable, you can't change it, this, that, and the other. That's true. But if you have wording in that trust that gives the trustee power to buy and sell and title property and take title to property, you could put a car in the trust and it can come out of it, long as that language is there. And that's going to be a very important language to have in there, especially when you're registering the car. They are going to look for that. When I get to that part, I'll go into detail. Another advantage of putting your car into a trust is privacy. When you put your car into a trust, it is no longer in your name and therefore not listed as one of your assets. This can provide you with a sense of privacy and confidentiality and help to keep your financial information private. In addition to asset protection and privacy, putting your car into a trust can also allow you to pass down your assets to future generations. So depending on how you write this trust, you can say who gets it next. There won't no arguments over your property. Make sure nobody else is trying to get in. Doesn't look like it. We're still missing 2 people. All right. That means your car can be passed to your children or other beneficiaries without the need for probate court proceedings. This can save your loved ones time, money, and stress, and ensure that your assets are distributed according to your wishes. In conclusion, putting your car in a trust offers a number of benefits, including asset protection, privacy, the ability to pass down your assets to future generations. The other benefit that's not mentioned here, when you buy a car with a trust, especially if you take a loan out, that is considered a business expense. So that loan can be written off. Those payments, those monthly payments, you could write them off as an expense to the trust. Registration, any fees, oil changes, all that stuff can be become a tax credit. Now, if you have it in your name and you're using it what they call personal use, they're not going to give you that tax break on some of the stuff that you do unless you're using that specific car for work-related stuff. And then you have to separate from what's personal and what's not. But when it's already titled to a trust, it's a business expense. When you open up a bank account for a trust, it's a business account. So that's the major benefit to having your car in a trust. All right. So those are the benefits. So you got to create your trust before you can buy a car, put it in, title it into a trust, you got to create a trust. Creating a trust is a process of establishing a legal arrangement which trustees hold and manage assets such as property or financial assets on behalf of one or more beneficiaries. The process of creating a trust involves several steps, including: one, determine the purpose of the trust. For the purpose of this webinar, you create a trust for a car. Now, this is what I do. I have several trusts. I have a trust specifically for cars, and I have a trust specifically for property such as a house or other valuable assets. I will not put a car in the same trust as a house. Why? I'm driving around in this car all day. I hit somebody. I'm at fault. And if my insurance doesn't cover everything, and something really serious happens and that trust, that insurance policy for the car doesn't cover everything, they can go after the other assets that belong to that trust. So if you have your home and your car in the same trust, they can come after that car, just like any other individual. A trust is an individual, it's a person. So it can be sued just like anybody, anything. So be mindful when you put in a car in the trust that you don't put it put anything in that trust that you don't want to lose. Okay? That's just the way I do it. So when I bought the car I'm going to show you that how I did it, there's nothing else in that trust but that car. That's it. So there you have it. All right. Choose your trustee. The next step is to choose a trustee who will be responsible for managing assets in the trust. This can be an individual or an institution such as a bank or trust company. So they're saying an individual could be a trust or a institution. Basically what they're saying, an entity, any entity can be a trustee as well. So if you're in my premium membership, we show you how to have a trust, and then you create another trust that looks like you. So like my name is Hakeem Barber. I have an Hakeem Barber trust. But that Hakeem Barber trust is a trustee for my other trust. But it looks like me, but it ain't me. All right. So I control all of these entities through EINs and trust, but I don't own any of it. Okay. Me, the living, breathing being doesn't own it. I just control it. All right. Are we following? Are you guys following me?
Yes, sir, we are.
All right. So the key to success is to control stuff. Limit your ownership. Why? Because ownership comes with problems. For you, you can be sued and they can take it all away from you. But if it's in an entity name, they can't touch it. So somebody was about to say something. Who was that? Hello? Wasn't nobody? I thought I heard somebody trying to talk. All right. Oh, let me say this. If you have questions, hold them till I set it up for you to ask the questions. Be mindful. And those of you, keep your mics muted unless you're ready to speak or you're asked to speak. Just being respectful for everybody here. So far, everybody's doing good. I just have to mention that. All right. Draft the trust agreement. Once you have determined the purpose of the trust and chosen a trustee, the next step is to draft the trust agreement. This is a legal document that outlines the terms and conditions of the trust, including the names of the trustor, trustee, and beneficiaries, the assets included in the trust, and the duties and responsibility of the trustee. So let's go back to what I said. I chose a trustee. What I chose was an entity, a trust, another trust that I created to control my other trust. All right. So some people, oh, you can't be the trustee and the beneficiary. You can't be this and that. It depends on how you set it up. If the trustee is an entity, yes, you can be the beneficiary.
It's nearly everything here is original. But that was done in Austria, 1761. The discovery of America. The discovery of America. Is it all in there? Nearly. Isn't that fantastic? Look at that. The discovery of America. I think I'm just going to leave this $10 here on the date. Well, maybe I don't, but my wife likes to keep everything straight. You know what I mean. Is that an original painting, sir? Oh, yes, nearly everything here is original. But that was done in Austria, 1761. The discovery of America. The discovery of America. Is it all in there? Nearly. Isn't that fantastic? Look at that. The discovery of America. I think I'm just going to leave this $10 here on the date. Well, maybe I don't, but my wife likes to keep everything straight. You know what I mean.
Peace, peace. What's up? Hey, it's Truth Tuesday with your host, Akeem L, here on Hindsight Radio, the information station changing the nation. Let me kill this music that's in my ear. How y'all doing? It's been a busy day for me. I've been running, doing a couple of things. I was, I'm on my bread baking thing. So I moved on from making a loaf of bread to making bagels. That's my new venture. First try at it was last night. Didn't come out so like I wanted it to. The holes, like I made the holes in it to, give it that hole that bagels have. And they closed up on me. So, I mean, overall tasted good, but didn't have that bagel look. So I said, I'm going to do it again. So I did it again today, and they came out looking like bagels. They actually look like bagels. And they look and taste like bagels. Let me see if I could give you guys a photo of it. Let's see. I took a photo of them. Yeah, I did. There it is. I'll share the screen. Share. Let's see. What do I want to share? Photos. There it is. There's my new batch. One of that one it closed up on me, but there it is. So I'm proud of myself. Y'all see my bagels. So y'all heard that recording that I just played, the Discovery of America. The Discovery. Let's play it again. Because there's something on there that I want you guys to see. I know when I first showed it, some of y'all just saw the dark skinned people, but there's something in that picture that's more profound than just the dark people in there. Because what's in that picture is going to give you the technology of the people in there. Most people miss it. I posted that like last year sometime. Now, I mean, no, 2022. Somewhere in that range. Somebody, and then people stitched it and passed it around the internet. I came across it today in somebody else's post, and I said, that's my video, because I could tell because the way I shot the video. But I'm going to show you something that and I'm not even letting y'all see me. I'm going to show you something about to show you not only was we already here, and when I say we, this is what I'm talking about. People, the darker skinned people, the people that they're calling Mexican, because Mexican, Tainos, all of those different tribes of people were already here before the European, whoever came over here and called themselves discovering something. I'm with this is supposed to be Black History Month too, right? I'm with Dick Gregory when he said, that's like having your car parked somewhere and somebody find and say they discovered your car that you own. This land was already owned by people, generations, tribes of people, way before the European settlers got here and started saying that they discovered something. Yeah, it's new to you, but it's old to the people that's been here. It's no big deal. But I'm going to play it again, and I'm going to see if y'all catch it. Just look, don't look at the dark people, just look at the scenery and you'll see what I'm talking about. So let's go there.
Is that an original painting, sir? Oh, yes, nearly everything here is original. But that was done in Austria, 1761. The discovery of America. The discovery of America. Is it all in there? Nearly. Isn't that fantastic? Look at that. The discovery of America.
I'm pausing it right there so y'all can take a good look. I want you to look at the scenery, the sketches, the sky. And what I'll try to do is give you a little pull in. It's a little hazy. Just look.
I think I'm just going to leave this $10 here on the date. Well, maybe I
I'm
don't.
gonna do it again.
My wife
I'm gonna
likes to
pull
keep
it back.
everything straight.
Let me pull it back to the original so you can see fine the detail.
Know what I mean? Is that an original painting, sir? Oh, yes, nearly everything here is original. But that was done in Austria, 1761. The discovery of America. The discovery of America. Is it all in there? Nearly. Isn't that fantastic? Look at that. The discovery of America.
Pause it. Now we can see a good view of it. One thing I noticed, these exotic looking animals they got in the picture. But what I want to call your attention to is this right here. This little right there. See it? According to if the stories that they wrote about the original people they found here, they were found in teepees and all of these different living basically primitive. Who built this? Who built that in the background? Who built this right here? Who built these little buildings down here? Who built that? Very subtle. If you're not really paying attention, you would have missed it. Who built it? I don't see a TP in sight. There's no TPs around here. I see stone structures, buildings. Tell me, who built that? Who built that on that? Look like a mountain or a cliff or something. I don't know. I wish I had the original picture because it looks like up here there's something else that they're trying to depict in this picture. See? Who built that? Can somebody answer that for me? I my dad loved this Columbo show. This is how I got to watch it. And I'll go back and watch the reruns of that show. And one day I was sitting there watching an episode and this popped up. And I've watched this episode, I don't know, countless them when my father was watching it, and then I would watch it. I've watched this episode a lot and never noticed that. But see, when you're sleeping, you don't notice things like that. When you are under the spell of miseducation, all you are focused on is what you have been told. Let's just sit here and just ponder this thing. This is 1761, the Austria depiction of the discovery of America. And if you do some digging and you start looking for images around that time, the Austrian people depicted people of color, blacks, African American, what they want to call them. I call them the indigenous people, the originals. They have depictions of them in well-dressed garb, not them change in stuff that they want you to believe. You have to really think about how they depicted history to us from the time we hit public school, right? Do y'all realize that that was an indoctrination lie that they just continued to perpetuate into your head over and over? Why would they include that into the worst part of our history? They would include that. If this country was really about bringing about people together, why would you keep talking about this bad, negative talk about our history and try to reenact it and just keep talking about it? The worst, they make movies about it. Why? What I've come to discover, when I realize, when you're trying to keep a lie going, you got to keep telling it. Remember, don't you? Somebody ever lie to you and you like, well, you find inconsistencies and you got to, wait a minute, this happened when? And then they keep repeating the story over and over again. And every time they repeat the story, it changes a little bit. That's how lies work. They have to be repetitive. They have to keep you programmed. Whereas the truth doesn't have to lie. It says it once, hey, this is the truth. You take it or leave it and move on. That's the truth. And think about a lot of stuff that they do repetitively. I know in the South they do a lot of it. They do this, what you call the Civil War reenactment. Why? You lost. Suppose, that if that's the way it went down. And as I continue to do shows like this, I'm like going back to the past of when I was breaking down and showing y'all stuff, but it's even more revealing stuff that's out there. Why do you have to keep reacting it? Because they got to keep you believing the lie. We live in a world where the truth is hardly ever talked about or even want to be believed. This is the type of system we live in. So basically, when you're hearing a lot of stuff, you got to question it, because the stuff that's popular is the lie. Let me tell y'all something. What's up is down, and what's down is up, and what's left is right, and right is left. Let me give y'all something else to ponder. I've hinted on it, and I've said this before. I think I mentioned it a little bit on Sunday. In our reality, in our current reality, all we've ever factually witnessed that we can say definitively how we got here, how we entered to this world, we came through a woman. My mother gave birth to me. I came through my mom. And everybody listening to me that will listen to me will say the same thing. Factually, I know for a fact that I come through a woman. That's how I get here. She nurtures me for 9 months, and then time for me to come on out and experience this realm, this dimension in the physical form. At first, I'm a conscious thought. And then I become manifest. Just much like the Bible, how Christ had said, God came to Mary and said, hey, and put the idea of Christ inside of her consciously. And then she gave birth physically, right? But if you go to church and religious schools, they say, well, Adam came first, and then from her came the woman. Then after that, they started to do their thing, and they had children. See, now the only place that evidence is supported, that I can't even say it's evidence. It's just what is written on on parchment paper in the Bible. How that happened. But what I physically see, no one has ever witnessed that. Living today could say that actually they gave eyewitness to that scenario happening exactly like that. But everyone could say that a child came through a woman. That's how they got here. See, and that's the point I'm trying to make is a lot of the stuff that we hold true and dear to our heart as the truth, we have never witnessed it with our own eyes, can say factually it happened that way. We can only attest to the things that we have physically experienced or watched. So basically, our system, this system we live in, has used that to their advantage by telling you a story about how the indigenous people were here, what they look like, and how all of these dark people got here. And then they got switched out for lighter skinned people. You know, it was different degrees. It was a little less dark, and then a little less dark, and then light, then lighter, lighter, lighter. Then before you know it, they were telling you these are the majority people, when the actual world numbers don't even support that. That white is the majority. It doesn't support that worldwide. On a visual level. But now, how it supports it is this. On paper, it supports that. Where, just like I started out telling you how on paper they said Adam and Eve were created a specific way. From the rib, the woman came. But actual life biologically don't support that theory, that theology. It doesn't support that. So back to what I was just about to say. On paper, it supports white being the majority. And here's how it supports that. Because they allow people from the Middle East and different parts of the European countries to call themselves white. People from East Asia, Indian people, what we call East Indian, could define themselves as white on paper. So if you are just counting that paper and you say, oh, this person, white is the majority on paper, but not by complexion, in reality. And see, this is what I'm trying to get you to understand. You have to separate the words on that paper from what your eyes is actually witnessing for themselves. See, that they got you disbelieving your own sight. And then this is why people are confused and lost and depressed, because they are living a lie and don't even realize that where the lie is. They know something ain't right. They know stuff is just not looking, but they can't put their finger on it, because the reason why, in their mind, the picture that they live in out is false. This is why people have a hard time calling themselves divine. I'm divinity. God is in me. God works through me. They have an issue with that because the picture that they have painted in their mind through social indoctrination, religious indoctrination, is false. That's why a lot of people looked at this painting that I was showing. They looked at it. They looked at it and they just looked, oh, those people are dark, but they didn't pay attention to what was in that background. Look at the background. Who built that? If this was the discovery of America, these are dark people here. There's some castle or something in there in the background. I got other pictures. I got to dig them out that shows some similar scenario, but in the background, it looks like the Empire State Building was painted in the background. I'm going to dig that picture out. I'm going to tell you something. I recorded this video with my phone and I uploaded it to Instagram. The only way I had it, and I went in my phone trying to find the recording. You know, it's gone, it's deleted off my phone. I didn't delete it. Only way I had to go pull it off the internet because the video is actually that I took with the phone was longer. And I wanted to use that video instead of going to Instagram because this way I can manipulate it better. But hopefully I'll find it somewhere. But the point I'm making is, or just reinforcing, you have to start believing in yourself. If something don't seem right, reinvestigate because it may not be right. If your spirit is telling you this something ain't right, this ain't it. You gotta start trusting yourself, trusting the God in you to tell you the truth. The issue is we spend too much time allowing other people to tell us what the truth is. I don't want to be the person. I tell you the truth, but I don't want my words to be God to you. The word of God is what you say to yourself. Right out of Reverend Ike's page, one of his speeches. The word of God is what you say to yourself, what you're speaking to yourself. That's the word of God. Then they plug these, do not lean on your own understanding, blah, 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 all this crap to distract you. I am fully aware that some of those scriptures that's in the Bible are plants. Plants to distract you. Some of the people you believed in that was holy grail of this, plants. Y'all be surprised who they are. Some of these people that look like you ain't your people either. They not even from your same genetic pool, even though they got that dark skin like you. And that's where we trip up because they got the same complexion. We all no. They come from a different gene pool. They come from a different genetic background. See, the whole story of, if you notice the theme of the Bible is always a protagonist and antagonist. There's a Satan and then there's a Jesus. There's Satan and God. But then they also encapsulated that protagonist antagonist story in different characters. Cain and Abel, Jacob and Esau. But when you start to realize that years were going by and people were rewriting stories, you know how you pass down folk tales, and in these folk tales, the names transformed into different names, but they were the same character. Cain and Abel is still what they talk about, Christ and Satan. It's the same story. It's simply a family feud. And the victor gets to tell the story. It's generations of family infighting on a earthly level and an interplanetary level. And the Bible tells you, we going in heaven. You're going to come to heaven. See, they got you. See, remember what I told you? They painted a picture of what heaven looks like to you. But what if heaven was simply just going off this world to another planet? I mean, they gave you the code. Be in the world, but not of this world. They gave you the codes. But we took a different perception and held that to be true. Oh, Hakeem, he going nuts. He talking about aliens and going. Well, the government now finally is letting y'all in on what was already well known, that other off-world beings have been coming back and forth here. But they had us programmed so bad with the current education system, we only believe what they gave us, which is a smidgen of the true knowledge. So if it ain't in those books, oh, it's a lie. Nah, that's not true. Listen, the truth always sound crazy to people who believe lies. If I said, I ain't ready to do it, the ancestor says, not today. I told you Tuesday is about teaching. But I got to teach you who you are. Then I'm teaching you who you are, the divinity in you, but I'm also starting to teach you ancestry, your ancestors, who your ancestors are. Not, and I ain't talking about ancestors, grandma. I'm talking about ancestors that are off-world ancestors. Who your people are. They actually describe them in the Bible. Let me make a note to self, so I could show you who these generations of people are. Remember, whenever they describe people in the Bible, the tribes and this tribe of Zebedee, this tribe of this one and that one, they were breaking all this stuff down. These group of people who only get touch the Ark of the Covenant, which was simply remember, it was given to them by God, which was an off-world technology, but only a group of people, certain group of people with certain genetics could handle that. Oh, King, that's sacred. Yes, it was sacred. I'm writing this down. See, when you start thinking of your ancestors, just not what you know, grandmama, big mama, this and that, and start thinking past that, and you start to say, wait a minute, I come from a bigger place than this. For some of the people here, it was supposed to be a pit stop, but a big old war broke out. Revelations explain that. The war broke out in heaven. Michael and his archangels battled with Satan and his demons. See, when the victor, they go, see, isn't that what the system does? When they don't like somebody, they villainize them, they start calling them names and making them look bad and giving them a bad viewpoint of people. But what if Satan and his demons was simply part of and to prove my point, Satan was going back and forth to heaven whenever they had their meetings. Do I need to pull it up? Because they had a meeting and he went up there and God said, what have you been doing? You been messing with my servant Job? Yeah, I've been walking around roving about the earth, meaning he could go back and forth. He was coming down and going off world, going off. Where was he going? When the sons of God meet and they all came, because they had regular meetings. What? And here's the thing. Boy, oh boy. I'll leave y'all heads swollen tonight. Here's the thing. Let me start off this way. I own a company, right? I've owned other companies. I've worked for other companies. There's one thing we do. All companies do. We have corporate meetings to go over stats and what our next moves are. So what if these meetings that they were having, because the Bible said it. If somebody, I have my Bible here, but I don't want to stop and start looking that up and ruin my flow. But if someone who's listening can give me the scripture where Satan had that conversation with God about Job, and I want to show you that was a meeting. He said, what were you doing? Were you handling your responsibilities or you was messing with my servant Job? Oh, he only loved you because you give him everything. That represented ownership. That God of that territory had ownership of that territory, and he was making sure what they were calling Satan was messing with his property, right? Because I mean, in the Bible they had this covenant, right? The contract. Don't a lot of people have contracts now with their employer? You come to work, you do this, and I'll take care of you. Make sure you get your paycheck, and I'll give you some vacation time. The Israelites had to deal with that with Egypt, right? They were working for them until Moses came to deliver them. But see, when you write something, I believe a lot of stuff. I believe there's some addition to the Bible, but I believe the Bible is written exactly the way you're supposed to. It was in most ways the way it's supposed to be written, but because of revisions and people giving you interpretations of it, we accepted a certain perception of what all of that stuff meant. And I believe if you study the Bible, there was this disagreement with how the beings of this planet was supposed to be managed. What the way it's written, Satan didn't like the way it was managed, so he came in and disrupted that by getting Adam and Eve to go off and break the rules. But there's a bigger story there. We won't talk about that today. See, now that I'm sitting here just giving you different scenarios to just kind of ponder and critically think, I'm sure some of you are like, he got a point. He got a point. Like when I talked about some weeks ago, how the sons of God looked down and saw the women of the women of man, the daughters of man, and they liked them. And they came down and did their thing and got busy and had babies. So if the women of this world were so weak and frail, how come these powerful angels were able to come down and have babies with them and they survived and gave birth to these babies? Because the story is they gave birth and they called them the Nephilim, which were the giants. Well, that, so these superpower beings had babies with the women, and the women didn't die in birth. When women die in birth, just with the regular old man, sometimes. I always had a problem with that. Or maybe men and women were giants already there back then. And the Bible said, I'm going to cut the days of man short. Maybe not only did they cut the man short, or maybe they just cut not only did they growth short as well. These are just things I'm throwing out here. I'm nothing I can sit here and prove, but when I start critically thinking this and I hear the ancestors whispering certain things to me, telling me, it makes you think. Did somebody find that? Let me go to chat. It's Job 1:6-22. Thank you, son of the one true king. Job, let's do that. Okay, starting to say, one day the heavenly beings came to present themselves before the Lord, and Satan also came among them. The Lord said to Satan, where have you come from? Satan answered the Lord, from going to and fro on the earth, and from walking up and down on it. The Lord said to Satan, have you considered my servant Job? There is no one like him on the earth, a blameless and upright man, which fears God and turns away from evil. So it said, one day the heavenly beings came to present themselves before the Lord. That means they had to periodically come and check in. That's, I mean, anybody else can see that differently? Can anybody else? I see your comment there. Somebody said, have you looked into the real reason behind the World's Fair? Yes. I can tell you what the World's Fair was a reintroduction. I'll get into that. Not a reintroduction, an introduction of all the new races. We'll go. Let's go from there. Then Satan answered him, have you not put a fence around him and his house and all he has on every side? You have blessed the work of his hands, and his possessions have increased in the land. But stretch out your hand now and touch all that he has, and he will curse you to your face. The Lord said to Satan, very well, all that he has in your power, only do not stretch out your hand against him. So Satan went out from the presence of the Lord. So God allowed him, the Lord allowed him to do what he want with him, except for take his life. Then they go into all of the stuff. Then let's go to chapter 2. One day the heavenly beings came to present themselves before the Lord again. I don't think I have to read anymore. Why are they going back and forth? Why are they doing it? Because it was a regular meeting. It was a check-in. What's going on down there? What y'all doing? How y'all handling y'all business? Are we getting our profits? Let's go. Let's do this. I've read this before. For some reason, I got to read it again. It's telling me to. I'm trying to find the scripture where, right here, chapter 2 of Genesis, starting in verse 10. It said, a river flows out of Eden to water the Eden, the garden. And from there it divides and becomes four branches. The name of the first is Pishon. It is the one that flows around the whole land of Havilah, where there is gold. And the gold of that land is good. Bdellium and onyx stone are there. The name of the second river is Gishon. It is the one that flows around the whole land of Cush. The name of the third river is Tigris, which flows east of Assyria. And the fourth river is the Euphrates. Now, if you study this continent and watch, there's a river that flows exactly like this one. And it's called the Mississippi River. They changed the name, I think. They did some switcheroo. But what I wanted you to notice when I was reading, they kept mentioning onyx and gold. What were they doing? Sounds like they were on a mining expedition. The gold was good. What it here's see, this is where you guys start critically thinking. What did God care about gold and all of that stuff? Or maybe the writer is the one who wrote that and said, oh, the gold over there is good. And the onyx is good. And you know, right now, onyx and gold is very precious to us. But a lot of us are young. We're young in age. And most people, you don't know anybody that's pretty much over. The oldest person that I know personally was 105. Right? Typically, people are not living to over 100. So if I said to you, maybe these things that they're talking about in the Bible are not that old, this is why we hold to it so fast, because it's really new, which we think is old. We've been given the belief that it's old. See, there's a lot of things you're not physically became a firsthand knowledge on. So you have to accept that this is what, Christ was born over 2,000 years ago. You have to accept that as fact because They're going off what the Bible says or what somebody's interpretation of the Bible is. You starting to see my point? That most of the stuff, the timelines was given to you. And that brings me to what this person said here about the fair. The World's Fair was a celebration and an introduction of a new world order. See, y'all, oh, we got a new world order. They already did it. And it happened at the World's Fairs around the world. Although you think that all of these governments are separate and they operating differently, no, they are operating as one world order with one world agenda, meaning to control the population and what they eat and what they think and what they believe. See, the trick is to get you to believe that there's something coming that you should be fearful of when it's already here. You're already experiencing that. You've just been given the illusion that everything's different. And you'll notice if you start traveling to different countries, they got similar, the same thing going on over there, just like they got over here a lot of times. And some of these places is not as bad off as the media lets you believe it is. The one world order is already here. And the one world order is to, you saw the one world order when COVID hit. Now, it would, it's going to progress. The one world order is just progressing and perfecting itself, but it's already here. You already been experiencing it because the whole world shut down around the world. So when you say, "Oh, they pushing us to this one word," nah, you already in it, baby. Too late. You're in it. See, all the other people don't want to call it out. I'm telling you, you're in it. It's here. So the World Fairs was a way to reintroduce and to move certain individuals around the planet, because in the World Fairs they had exhibitions of different groups of people on those expeditions. Go look at it. Go back and look at the pictures. Then you had something in those World Fairs called incubators. They had incubator babies. So y'all believe they just started making test tube babies, but test tube babies been going on. If you want to go by the history of the Bible, it's also test tubes and genetic manipulation is in this book, baby. It's in here. It's here. You just missed it when they called them sheep. Laban, and he was manipulating the sheep into being different colors. That's genetic manipulation. But they told you, it was told in the story that if they ate this and they looked and they could do this. When you study that word look, what do you mean by look? Meaning to mate certain sheep with each other to bring about a certain color or certain genetically modified look. And then you expand it. They've been genetically modifying people for a long time. Because the Bible told you in the beginning. Let me see. I read this before. I read this. I read this. Then God said, let us, meaning more than one, make humankind in our image. So we all doing this together. We're going to take this being that's already here. Let us make humankind. There was people here and they were genetically modified and given a superior intelligence. than what they had before. So they took something from themselves genetically and gave it to this being that was already here. See, but when you listen to these stories from the preacher's point of view or the pulpit, how he's preaching it, oh yeah, God just created right there. No, it was already beings here and they just genetically modified. And then what happened, fast forward into Revelation, this war broke out, this family feud broke out, and some people got left here and the rest went off. And then it said Christ is going to come back to get the ones that they had to leave behind because that war was fierce and it ruined the planet. I mentioned this before. Revelations come before Genesis because in the Bible it says specifically, said, in the beginning, when God created the heavens and the earth was a formless void, and darkness covered the face of the deep, while a wind from God swept over the face of the waters. Then God said, let there be light. And there was light. And God saw the light was good. And God separated the light from darkness. God called the light. Just follow me because I'm going to read it all the way through. And I'm going to get to that part that I'm talking about. It said, God called the light day, and the darkness he called night. And there was the evening, and there was morning, the first day. And God said, let there be a dome in the midst of the waters, and let it separate the waters from the waters. Did y'all hear that? Let there be a dome and separate the waters from the waters. This is the Bible. So God made the dome and separated the waters that were under the dome from the waters that were above the dome. And it was so. God called the dome sky, and there was evening and there was morning the second day. And God said, let the waters under the sky be gathered together into one place, and let the dry land appear. And it was so. God called the dry land earth, and the waters that were gathered together he called seas. And God saw that it was good. Then God said, let the earth put forth vegetation, plants yielding seed, and fruit and trees of every kind on the earth that bear fruit with the seed in it. And it was so. The earth brought forth vegetation, plants yield seed of every kind, and trees of every kind bearing fruit with the seed in it. And God saw that it was good. And there was an evening and there was a morning the third day. I'm going to continue reading because it's breaking it down how they had to create it. So it was a void, it was formless. Because this planet was something else before it was. It got cracked in half, and that's how come you have the moon. But let me keep going because of this big old war that they had. And God said, let there be light, the dome of the sky to separate the day from the night, and let them be for signs and for seasons and for days and years. And let them be lights. Let them be lights in the dome of the sky to give light upon the earth. And it was so. God made the two great lights, the greater light to rule the day, and the lesser light to rule the night, and the stars. And God set them in the dome of the sky to give light upon the earth, to rule over the day and over the night, and to separate the light from the darkness. And God saw that it was good, and there was evening. There was morning the fourth day. And God said, let the waters bring forth swarms of living creatures, and let birds fly above the earth across the dome of the sky. They keep talking about this dome. So God created the great sea monsters and every living creature that moves on every kind in which the waters swarm, and every winged bird of every kind. And God saw that it was good. And God blessed them, saying, be fruitful, multiply, and fill the waters in the sea, and let the birds multiply on the earth. And there was evening, and there was a morning the fifth day. Let's see. This is not the particular. One of my Bibles said, it says replenish the earth. See, that's why you need more than one Bible. Because a lot of the older Bibles say replenish, meaning that they had to redo it. That's what replenish means. I thought it was this Bible. I'm trying to find it. That's still meant to be multiplied, and God said, "Let us humankind image." That's when I read that. I think it's in my other Bible, but this is the Bible that says it, but I can't find it. But in it, it says replenish. In several of my Bibles, it'll say replenish the earth. And I remember when I saw that, I was sitting in church one time, and preacher was preaching, and he read something out of here. And then I just keep continuing to read just to get the whole context. I said, wait a minute, this thing says replenish. It says replenish. I'm like, wait a minute, I never noticed that before. I never noticed that. How did it say that? And I said, why would they put that? Who makes a mistake like that and put that in the Bible? Because it wasn't a mistake. This is a redo. Because if you read your ancient ancestors, what we call the indigenous people, they have a story of the creation of Earth. And this planet, this was called Tiamat. And a great war broke out that caused the planet to crack in half. And that's why we have the moon, what has a gravity pull, because that's how your what do you call the tides are controlled by the moon. You see, when you really dig in, and then you start looking at, when you really dig in and start paying attention, you start to say, these people, these words, these people trying to teach me, not jiving with what's really I see. I mean, look at the Grand Canyon. It looked like that was a mining expedition over there. And the next time you're driving through mountains, pay attention to the mountains, because you'll start to notice that there's almost stuff like similar to pyramids in what we're calling mountains. So I say all that to say this. You really don't know what you think you know. Like the World's Fairs, they say, oh, that was a World Fair that was introducing technology and they had all of this stuff. No, that was the reset, baby. That was the Great Reset. Because after, the proof that it's the Great Reset, because after those World Fairs happened, they tore all of those World Fairs down, claiming they built all of that. Yep. Let me just go. Just give y'all a, talking about they built these things within a few years and then tore these buildings down. Come on, man. And they got to leave you the truth. They got to leave you the truth because that's under their contract. That's their contracts. They have to show you the truth. Let me share my screen. I mean, you telling me they built these within a few years? And why would you tear that down? I mean, something is magnificent and that looks like that. Why would you do that? Huh? Let's try to get some of these images pulled up. Trying to get a bigger picture. Yeah. Look at that. And they were like that around the world. These places are huge. This is 1893. This was when you had this was your last reset. And then they started giving you their version of history or what was really going on. Let's see if we can get some more images. This is what you had. This is a sketch. And look at all these people gathered here. Like they were being brought here to repopulate. Look at this. This is a building. This is inside of a building. And the stuff we building now, come on, man. There was a locomotion train. The crap we're building now, compared to these things, these buildings that existed in 1893. Over here, that looks like almost like a subway right here, like a overhead train. 1893. See, there's some. If you notice, this is dirt here, right? And they would try to tell you they're building here. They're building, but there's also something called the mud flood that they talk about. That's what happened. A flood came and got all over the place. And then what they did was they cleaned it up. And then said they built it. Look at the architecture compared to what the look at that. That looked like an old Viking ship. But look at that building. Is that a now all of a sudden stuff started burning down because see they said after the fear the white city on fire. This is after the fear. This is where they did their great reset. All of the stuff that people talking about reset, that's a reset. See, it looked like there was now you had all these magnificent buildings. You mean to tell me the streets can't be paved? A flood came through here and put all that mud on the street. Come on. I could keep going. Look at those lights. This is 1893, huh? Oh, they even have a. Let me look at that picture again. What kind of lights? What is this? Y'all get the point. Let's see what the comments say. Say Akeem crazy. Oh, let's go down the line. There's a lot of comments. So, hey, I should have more likes than that. I got 11 likes. I should have more than that. I would appreciate if y'all hit the like button. Somebody said, we've been here. America is the old world. It's only new to them. Absolutely. I agree. Somebody said castles. And Liga said that. They killed our ancestors with paper and pen. Absolutely. That's the only death they got. You know what's crazy? I visited Mexico a lot of times, right? And I've heard several times they talk about the Mayans, how they just disappeared. right? The Mayans. They just disappeared out of there. Their civilization. This is the story. But the Mayans are still over there in Mexico because the Mexicans seem to know who they are. They say because Mexico wasn't Mexico, it used to be called Mexica. But those dark, short people with their heads pushed back are the Mayans. And I see that when you go to resorts, that's who's working at the resorts. Because I was taking a taxi and the guy would say, yeah, those are the Mayans right there. You could tell the Mayans, and he was just pointing them out. They ain't going nowhere. They just got written out of history. That's it. They just trying to make it like these people just up and disappeared. This is what happened when you get these European scholars. They get paid to say whatever. And because they got a mic and they got a TV screen and they got a budget that can just promote that garbage all over the place, people believe what they say. But facts is the Mayans are still in Mexico. They ain't go anywhere. Let's see. See, that's how they do. They kill people with the pen and paper, like they did people here. They reclassified dark-skinned people here as black and African American. And Jesse Jackson is the one who called you that. Before you was Negro and colored, and that's why they call it the news, because it'll have your mind going north, east, west. Absolutely. It's based on opinion. Yeah, most of your history is all opinion. But I wouldn't even say opinion, just paid opinions. They're paid to say some of that stuff. Even Africans that come to America are labeled as white. Yep, absolutely right. They come from a certain place, they could call themselves white. Yep. Big man, Master Abel says peace. This I addressed that question already. See, King Bay said peace, everyone. And they gave me Job 6 through 12. I was reading that. Sounds like one true king said 6 through 22. If he asked Satan where he been, then he's been times Venus before, right? So that's the crazy part about that story. Like, Satan's supposed to be this evil character, but he's allowed to come in and hang out with everybody and infect the minds of people. He's so bad. Then he gave him a license to even affect somebody that was supposed to be faithful to him, just to test them. Don't that sound crazy? That sounds like some regular folk stuff. Looking for clout chasing. And the other person hating, oh man, he down with you because you do all this stuff for him. Okay, well, let me prove it. Do your thing. That's what happened. Just regular folk having a little disagreement. Somebody's the first creation story in Genesis. Mr. Reese. Yazi Yabe say peace. Somebody said they remember me talking about this in 2018. Something came Genesis 1:28. Well, let me see. What was that? I think I read it. He might be right. Oh, about to be fruitful and multiply. Yeah. Trying to figure out. Yeah, I think it's in my. I have that other Bible. I think it's right there. Hang on. See, I got 4. I got. This is just a few of the Bibles that I got, but I got. It's bothered me. I got to find that scripture. I wonder if this is the Bible I was reading. But I thought it was that black one. That's the one I always read out of. Get my mic here. All right. Let's see. It's not that one. I know it ain't this one. Might be this one. That black one. Having what they call a Mandela effect. I'll find it when I get off because I'm trying to find it. That's why I can't find it. I thought I had it written down. There it is right there. It is 28. It is 28 where it says replenish. But see, this version said God said, bless, and God said to them, be fruitful and multiply and fill the earth and subdue it and have dominion over fish in the sea and over the birds, living thing. But in this version, this one here, Holy Bible, it says, and God blessed them, and God said unto them, be fruitful and multiply and replenish the earth and subdue it and have dominion over the fish, sea, and everything. This one says, God blessed them, and God said to them, be fruitful and multiply and fill the earth and subdue it and have dominion over the fish. So it was 128. Let's see what this version says. So he was right. So why would you say replenish in the Bible? See, they slipped up. That Bible got through. It got through. Why are you saying replenish if you just now creating it? It was a redo. So this one says, God blessed them and said, be fruitful and multiply and replenish. This one. And this is the Jewish Bible. This is the one that the Jewish Publication Society published this book. I ordered this. This is one of their older versions. 1917. It says, I'll read it again. I'm glad I didn't let that go. And God blessed them, and God said unto them, be fruitful and multiply and replenish the earth and subdue it. So, fast forward to the world fairs. That was your replenishment. You had it right, son of the one true king. Thank you for that. Genesis, go get your Bibles and look up, get all the versions that you got, and you'll see some of those versions will say replenish. Okay. 6-day first creation. Somebody said, look up the Broadwater Natorium in Montana. Oh, okay. Let's see if I can do that. Look up Broadwater Natatorium. Is that who builds indoor swimming pool with heated floors in ATM? Okay. Let's look that up. He said, look up Broadwater in Montana. Oh, is this it? Now, 1889 to 1941. I'll share the screen. Hang on. So some of the, so these like indoor swimming pools or something you're saying? 1908. Them buildings look older than some 1908. I can tell you that. They look Moorish in design, if you ask me. Yeah. Entrance to the largest natural hot water plunge in the world, Helena, Montana. Oh, wow. Good share. So they building stuff like this back then? Why we ain't building places like this now? But look at how that looks. I'm just trying to get a look at this entrance here. What is this? Look almost like an altar or something. Cleaning the plunge. I don't know. Is this something like where they you can get healed or something? Oh, they demolished it. See, they be destroying history. Wait a minute. I gotta study this. Is this one of those things where people would go? I'm gonna read on this. Let me go back to the comments. That looks interesting. Why would they destroy something like that? Oh, I was right. The Natorium was the most important example of Moorish architecture in the Northwest. That's Montana. Huh? What was Moorish architecture? Oh man. Where did he where did I leave off? Indoor swimming pool with heated floors in the late 1800s. Wow. They had electricity and moving sidewalks. Yes, they did back then. They did. There's a video that breaks that down. Houses made of sticks and so I said, some of this stuff is mentioned in the video known as What on Earth Happened in the Lost History of the Flat Earth with the Great Flood and Reset. Right. Yeah, that was a reset. But I'm sorry to tell y'all, that flood ain't too long ago because we are still living under the flood because the world is 80% water. I got that epiphany when I went to Honduras, and it seemed like we were traveling up this never-ending mountain. Then when we was on the beach, it said, "Be careful, it's 200 foot drop all around this island." There was so many drop-offs, 200 feet plus, right? I said, man, this island ain't nothing but the tip of a mountain that's underwater. Illustration of maps of the actual worlds beyond the ice wall. Yeah, I saw that too. I ain't got to that yet. The ancestors ain't got me talking about that yet. I'll talk about that. That's too much. But they realize that maybe this world you think is big is way bigger than what you was. See, this planet was huge. It's huge. We're not using. We're not even using probably 10 to 15% of the land. And they talking about we overpopulated. Now you see why I say there was two creations from Genesis 1. And yeah, it is. Yeah. Well, it was more than two creations. It was more. But I'll break that down one day. I'll go through the genealogy of each group of people, where they came from, and who they spliced with. But they told me not to get that bold just yet. Ain't nobody ready for that one. His league said, yes. Where the sound? My sound went out? Oh, he said it was him. So, oh, take my camera back. All right, y'all, man. I done went in. It's 8:35. I didn't realize I was going on that much. All right. keep in mind that Thursday is Level Up Thursday with Karen, and I co-host that show with her on Thursday. We had two good shows. We're on our third show. We are third or fourth show. I've lost count. These days become a blur to me. Oh, I'm working on a seminar for March, and I'm working on a webinar. I'll announce those within the next day or two. But like always, I appreciate those of you who've been following me for a while. I appreciate all the new followers. And until next time, peace, prosperity, and extreme wealth to everyone. Peace, prosperity, and extreme wealth to all you guys.
This is Hindsight Radio. I represent it. The information station changing the nation.